They say your start doesn't determine your finish. But what if your start wasn't just humble? What if your start was being thrown away? Imagine being today's old. You have no name. You have no clothes. And you are lying alone inside a dumpster in rural Florida. It's 1989. Next to you is discarded food, broken glass, and the refuse of society. You aren't supposed to survive the night. Most rags to riches stories start with $1 in a pocket. This story starts with less than nothing. It starts with a baby labeled as trash. But that baby in the dumpster. Today, he's a tech mogul, an inventor, and a multimillionaire who changed the landscape of telecommunications in America. This is the incredible, true story of Freddie Figgers. And if you think you have valid excuses for not chasing your dreams, I need you to listen to the next 15 minutes very carefully. After being discovered by a passerby who heard his cries, the baby was placed into the foster care system. For 2 days, he was just a case number. Nobody wanted him. In 1989, the foster system was overwhelmed. Enter Nathan and Betty Mae Figgers. They weren't looking to become parents again. They were in their 50s. They lived in Quincy, Florida, a small, quiet town. Nathan was a maintenance worker, and the handyman Betty Mae was a farm worker. They didn't have much money. They drove an old truck. They lived paycheck to paycheck. But when they saw this baby distressed, alone, and unwanted, they didn't see a burden. They saw a son. They adopted him and named him Freddie. Now, you might think, okay, he was saved, happy ending. Not yet. Growing up in Quincy wasn't a fairy tale. As Freddie grew older, the truth about his origins didn't stay hidden. Kids can be incredibly cruel. By the time Freddie was in elementary school, the bullies had found out the story. They would surround him at the playground. They didn't just call him names, they attacked his very existence. They used to call him Dumpster Baby. Imagine being 8 years old, coming home crying, asking your dad, "Is it true? Did my real parents throw me away?" This is the moment that breaks most people. The feeling of being fundamentally unworthy. But Nathan Figgers, the man who fixed toilets and swept floors for a living, grabbed Freddie by the shoulders and said something that would define the rest of his life. He said, "Freddie, listen to me. Your biological mother threw you away, but I chose you. You are not trash. You are a treasure." That love gave Freddie a shield. But he still needed an outlet. He needed an escape. Freddie wasn't interested in sports. He was interested in how things worked. He would pick up broken radios, alarm clocks, anything he could find in the trash, ironically returning to the very place he was found, to see if he could fix them. When Freddie was 9 years old, he and Nathan went to a local thrift store called Goodwill. There, sitting on a dusty shelf, was a broken 1989 Macintosh computer. It didn't turn on. It was yellowed with age. The price tag, $24. For Nathan and Betty Mae, $24 was a lot of money. That was grocery money. But Nathan saw the way Freddie looked at that machine. He bought it. He told Freddie, "If you can fix it, it's yours." Freddie took that computer home. He didn't have Google. He didn't have YouTube tutorials. He had a soldering iron, some spare parts from a clock radio, and his brain. He opened the casing. He studied the circuit board. He realized the capacitors were blown. He desoldered parts from the radio and soldered them into the Mac. He plugged it in. He hit the power button. It booted up. At 9 years old, Freddie Figgers realized he had a superpower. He could speak the language of machines. By age 12, while other kids were playing video games, Freddie was fixing them. In fact, the school administration noticed his talent. When the school's computer lab broke down, they didn't call a technician, they pulled Freddie out of class to fix the servers. He was literally a child staff member. He was paid $12 an hour by the city of Quincy to repair computers. The dumpster baby was now the computer whiz. But life has a way of hitting you when you're up. When Freddie was a teenager, his hero, his father Nathan, began to change. Nathan started forgetting things. He would leave the house and forget where he was going. He was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease, It's a heartbreaking disease. The person you love is there physically, but mentally, they are drifting away. One day, Nathan wandered off. He was lost 4 hours. Freddie was terrified. He realized that he couldn't watch his father 24/7, but he couldn't bear the thought of losing him. Most people would look for a nursing home. Freddie looked for a soldering iron. He took a pair of his dad's shoes. He took apart an old cell phone and a GPS unit. He hacked the circuit board and embedded the tracker into the sole of his father's shoe. He wrote a program that would ping his laptop whenever his father wandered outside a specific geofenced area. Furthermore, he built in a two-way speaker. So, when Nathan wandered off, Freddie could speak into his computer, and his voice would come out of his dad's shoe. "Dad, stop walking. Look down. I'm coming to get you." He didn't invent this for money. He invented it for love. But the world noticed. A company heard about the technology. They approached this teenager and offered him a deal. Freddie sold the GPS shoe tracker technology for $2.2 million. He was barely an adult. He had gone from the dumpster to a millionaire. But unlike many young people who come into money, Freddie didn't buy a Ferrari. He didn't go to Vegas. He knew this money was seed capital. He was just getting started. Freddie looked at his hometown of Quincy, Florida. It was a rural area. The internet connection was terrible. Big companies like Verizon or AT&T didn't care about Quincy because there wasn't enough profit there. The people were still using dial-up in the age of broadband. Freddie decided to start his own telecommunications company, Figgers Communication. Everyone told him he was crazy. You don't just start a telecom company. You need infrastructure, towers, licenses, millions of dollars in fiber optics. Freddie didn't listen. He applied for an FCC license. He became the youngest person in US history to hold a telecom operator's license. But he had a problem. He needed to lay fiber optic cables, and digging up roads cost him much money. So, he got creative. He built his own cell towers. But not just massive steel structures. He designed smaller, more efficient transmitters. He started buying up old infrastructure that big companies had abandoned. At 19, he started his own cloud computing services from his backyard. By his mid-20s, Figgers Communication wasn't just a small project. It was providing faster internet to rural America than the billion-dollar giants were. He invented a cell phone that prevents texting and driving. He created a diabetic glucometer that sends data directly to doctors and family members via Bluetooth again, inspired by his family's health struggles. In 2017, his company was appraised. The value, over $62 million. The boy who was thrown away like trash was now running an empire worth tens of millions, competing with the biggest tech giants in the world. Today, Freddie Figgers is the CEO of Figgers Wireless. He has his own line of smartphones, the F3. He has health tech devices. His net worth continues to climb. But the most beautiful part of this story isn't the bank account. Before Nathan Figgers passed away in 2014, he got to see his son, the boy he chose, become a man who changed the world. Freddie bought the Ford dealership where his father used to work as a maintenance man, but he didn't buy it for revenge. He turned it into a community center to help local youth. He spends millions on scholarships. He gives away computers to schools. He supports the foster care system that once failed him. When asked about his success, Freddie doesn't talk about his IQ or his business savvy. He talks about Nathan. He says, "One person's trash is another person's treasure." Conclusion. So, what is your excuse? Freddie Figgers started with abandonment. He started with poverty. He started with a broken computer and a father with a fading memory. If you are listening to this right now, and you feel like you are at rock bottom, remember, rock bottom is a solid foundation. You can build an empire on it. Don't let your history define your destiny. If you found this story inspiring, hit that like button. It really helps the channel. And tell me in the comments, what is one broken thing in your life that you can turn into a treasure? I'll see you in the next video.